Just a few housekeeping rules. We're going to keep everyone on mute except the participants. And if you have a question, down below, there's a chat link. Just write it down and we will direct it to the proper person. Okay, so let me start by introducing, we have 3 guests today from Cathedral City. First is Mayor John Aguilar. He was elected by the voters on the City Council November 8th, 2016. Prior to that, he was an appointed member, and following Stan Henry's certified election to mayor in December 14th to December 16th, he also served as an appointee. John accepted the council seat in order to encourage greater participation from Cathedral City's Hispanic community, as well as other underrepresented communities. John believes strongly in a government that is transparent and open to all residents. Recently retired, John served as Deputy Director for Riverside County Economic Development Agency's Housing Authority. He has worked as a real estate director for the San Francisco Presidio Trust and director of commercial real estate for the Port of Oakland. He was raised and born in Northern California, and he graduated with a Master's of Public Administration degree from California State University, Chico. He currently holds a California broker's license, and we welcome John. Also on board is Cathedral City Manager, Charles McClendon. Charlie, he goes by Charlie, and that's how I knew him. He is currently the city manager of Cathedral City, and a position he has held since March 2014. Prior to accepting the position in Cathedral City, he served as city manager of Avondale, Arizona, beginning in November 2004. Charlie also worked for the city of Glendale, Arizona for 17 years, holding positions in human resources and budget. Charlie holds a master's degree in public administration from the University of Tennessee and a bachelor's degree in political science from Ottawa University. And we also have Stone James with us. Stone is the Director of Economic Development. He is focused on increasing employment opportunities, improving property values, and building community wealth through deepening and diversifying the city's economic opportunities. When Stone is not serving the city, he is a doctoral candidate at the University of Southern California, Price School of Public Policy. Stone is a proud father of 3 children, a lucky husband, yay, and a reserve deputy and EMT for the LA County Sheriff's Department. We welcome you all, gentlemen. And to begin with, I'll ask a couple questions. And first, it's directed to the mayor. Could you please give us an overview of the current shelter-in-place guidelines for Cathedral City?
Of course. First of all, good morning, everybody. It's great to be here. Thank you for having us. I appreciate that. And I'd be happy to answer the question. I do want to just sort of acknowledge that this is a challenging time for all of us. We know many folks out there are suffering for a variety of reasons, but we believe, and I personally believe, and I believe the City Council stands behind me in this, that there is light at the end of the tunnel, and we will get there working together. Meanwhile, to the greatest extent possible, City Hall in our city is working to respond to the real estate community, initially just based on issuing permits and doing inspections. So, beyond that, we're certainly protecting our employees and our local community. We are closed. We are doing basic operating requirements for the city to make sure our public safety and our public works folks are properly protected, but they're also out there protecting the community. So we have taken the orders that have come down from the Riverside County Medical Officer, Dr. Kaiser, the state's medical officer, Dr. Chavez, and the governor's office, and declared our own public emergency as well. We adopted our own resolution a few weeks ago, declaring that we have an emergency and that there are appropriate protocols that we want to implement and put in place. And so what I wanted to do actually, if I could, Robin, is just touch on some of the numbers with respect to the pandemic, and then I would like Charlie, our city manager, to talk about some of the specific actions that the city has taken to protect our community, and then we can go from there. So so we have had to date 58 cases of infections in the community, and we've had 1 death. Now, if you compare that to many of our other sister cities in the valley, we're about in the middle in terms of the number of infections. And any infections is too many. 1 death is too many, and our heart goes out to the family of the deceased. Statewide, the infection rate does continue to climb. I'm on a weekly call with Dr. Chavez and the governor's office where we're provided numbers. Last week, our infection rate climbed about 7% and our death rate climbed about 9%. But the important factor is that, and I think you've all heard this on the news as well, that both the infection rate and the death rate is starting to flatten. In our case, particularly in the city of Cathedral City, we're seeing the numbers not quite doubling as they were just a few weeks ago. So the growth rate is becoming incrementally slower, and we're really pleased about that. And I think that's a testimony to our community for following the safety precautions that we've implemented. We have passed a couple of emergency ordinances. I'm going to let Charlie talk about those relative to eviction protection, but sort of in a nutshell, that's kind of the overview of where we are. And Charlie, if you would pick it up from there and talk about our emergency resolution, please.
Sure. I'd be happy. Mayor, thank you. The council passed back 2 meetings ago resolutions or emergency ordinances that protect both commercial tenants and residential tenants from evictions during the crisis. It does not give them of the responsibility to pay the rent. It just allows them to use the ordinances as defense against an eviction. They're still required when they're able to go back and pay that rent. And it only exists during the tenure of the emergency declaration. So that will end when either the governor's executive order that allowed cities to do this ends, or if our council took action earlier than that to rescind that. Other things that have been done in Cathedral City to protect the community, we are implementing the orders that have come down from the Riverside County Public Health Officer. This includes closing public parking areas at our parks. They're still open for walk-up traffic. We have closed the sports courts other than tennis courts, which were recently reopened by the county, and golf courses, but our basketball courts and things like that where there's contact with other individuals typically in playing the game, those are closed. We have been successful at procuring adequate public protective equipment for our police officers and firefighters, our first responders. We've also provided protective masks for our code enforcement officers and building inspectors who have to encounter people out in the field. We are providing building inspection services. We are providing plan check services. So basically the primary services provided by the city are still being provided. We're just doing it remotely wherever we can. City Hall has been closed to, and all city facilities to public traffic since March 18th. But using email and telephone, we are able to provide the basic services of government, and we continue to do that. Home building is continuing in the community. We are supporting the home building industry, and we are providing plan review and documents that are necessary for transactions to close, as we always did. It just may take a little bit longer because those things have to be arranged for electronically, and then we will either send the documents electronically or arrange for them to be placed outside for people to pick it up. So I feel like the council and our first responders have been vigilant in doing things that are necessary to help protect our community. As the mayor indicated, we do have evidence that the rate of growth of cases in our community is flattening. We are pleased to see that. And actually that's true across the Coachella Valley, but we're particularly concerned about Cathedral City. So Mayor, I don't know if there's anything else I forgot in that, but I think that's
that's great. Thank you, Charlie. I think we have other questions as well.
Sure. Are there any restrictions on what real estate agents can do in Cathedral City as far as they're working?
I think there, and I'll take first shot at this, Charlie, and then you or Stone can certainly join in. Having declared real estate as an essential business, I think was an important step. Having said that, doing real estate transactions virtually without having to do open houses, we know is a challenge. But to the extent that folks can work from home and get the business done, then that's something that they should do, as well as other folks who are in other industries who are considered essential as well. Charlie, what else?
I was just going to say, you mentioned that they should not have open houses. Showing homes, to the extent possible, should be done virtually. And if an agent does need to, show a house in person, then they need to practice the masking and social distancing requirements that apply to all businesses.
Okay, I think the next question I think I'd like to direct to Stone. I know that hotels and small businesses have been affected greatly by this, and it would seem that the small businesses in Cathedral City might be reaching out for assistance in SBA loans or any kind of assistance the city can give them. Can you respond to that, Stone, as far as what Cathedral City is doing to help small businesses?
Robin, thank you for the opportunity. I'd be happy to respond, and certainly Charlie and Mayor Aguilar, if there's anything you'd like to add, please do so. So what the Economic Development Department has been doing very, very, very proactively is working on contacting the businesses. There's about 1,065 businesses within Cathedral City. And so I have been contacting them either via phone or via email and letting them know, informing them about the CARES Act. Really, and it's the CARES Act, the 4 provisions of the CARES Act that that they can get aid from. There are some additional resources that the state is making available, and that's constantly evolving. But really, I think that low-hanging fruit is going to be the Paycheck Protection Program loan, and then also the EIDL loan, the Economic Injury Disaster Loan. And so those have been something that I've been just working with the different businesses to inform them about, let them know. There's certainly early on, there was a lot of confusion. Hey, what happens? I had 10 people, I let go 5 of them. Do I qualify for the loan? And so it's just been really trying to, as effectively as possible, get that communication out there to them, that information. We've got 2 city websites that we've adjusted to reflect and to house all of the COVID data. That's discovercathedralcity.com, and then also the economic development website, which is ccedd.org. And any business, and quite candidly, there are some businesses that have reached out to me who are not in Cathedral City. I'm providing them as much information as I can to help them through that process.
Thank you.
You bet.
Charlie or John, do you have anything to add to that?
Thank you. And thank you, Stone, for your thorough answer. I would just ask Stone to mention, Stone, there's a new consortium that's been put together in the Coachella Valley. Can you talk about the consortium and who's part of it and what they are doing, and how folks who are on this call might benefit from that?
Yes, yeah, thank you, Mayor Aguilar, for mentioning that. So there is an organization that was created, the Coachella Valley Economic Partnership. That's the regional economic development agency for the Coachella Valley. They had come up with an idea to create a regional task force consisting of CVEP, Coachella Valley Economic Partnership, the CVB, the Visitor and Convention Bureau, the Chamber, actually all of the I'd suggested actually all of the chambers from each of the cities participate. and not have it just limited to the Greater Coachella Valley Chamber, but all Palm Desert, Thousand Palms, Rancho Mirage, Palm Springs, and then also economic development professionals from every city. I had also requested that we include the David Powell from DVBA, the District Business Association, as well as Todd Hooks from the tribe. And so it's this group, we come together once a week and we share the best practices. What are our respective cities doing that are really that are effective, that are helpful? And yeah, there's just, it's constant work, constant idea flow, which really is critical. One of the things that I have been now working with that or Sievert, as well as two of my biggest business clusters, is to identify the best practices within the various industries, whether it be automotive or cannabis, to take those best practices on how to reopen and get that in front of the county to help with policy decisions.
Thank you.
Thank you. And this is for the mayor, John. Has the council discussed the city budget and how it may be affected by the shelter-in-place guidelines?
Thank you for the question. We have had very preliminary discussions around the budget and the impact of COVID-19 to our finances. Charlie, our city manager, will be providing a more exhaustive packet to the council in the coming weeks, in part to be able to gather the necessary data based on projections to be able to make some additional decisions that may have to be made in the future. We're lucky to the extent that, first of all, we have a great city manager we've had for 5 years plus. He's a very strong fiscal conservative, and that, combined with our other staff, has really helped us to build a fairly substantial reserve for a city our size of over 20 million, I think was the last time I saw the number. And so we do have reserves, but we also know that this is a particularly really difficult time, and that the economic future of our city is going to be imperiled by a lot of future fallouts from things like transit occupancy tax, and not coming in sales tax, our vehicle sales tax numbers. We're the largest auto sales dealer location in the Western Valley, well, actually in the whole valley. And so all those numbers are going to be taken into consideration. That we make some decisions. We have, and Charlie helped me here, but we have frozen all vacant positions, I believe, except for the police chief, whose position we just filled. We've cut back on all non-essential expenditures, and we've asked our department heads to put together budgets at various levels. And so we are being very diligent in making sure that we maintain our public safety positions and responsibilities in the city. That is our highest priority. Charlie?
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, way back when the council first adopted the emergency declaration, we implemented a freeze on hiring. So we are holding vacant positions vacant, except in our dispatch center and our police chief. We also eliminated all travel and training expenditures. We also eliminated all what are determined to be non-essential expenditures from the current fiscal year. When we look to the next fiscal year that starts July 1st, 2020, I have asked departments all to prepare both a 10% and a 20% budget reduction proposal. Those will be coming to the council for further consideration, most likely during the month of June. It is impossible to cut 20%, and I think it's entirely possible that we will see a 20% reduction in our revenues, and it's impossible to cut that much without directly affecting services. So one of the things the council will have to be considering is, what reduced service levels are we willing to live with? And that will be part of the decision-making process. It ultimately also will affect our street maintenance efforts, because our funding for street maintenance comes from the gas tax, Senate Bill 1, Measure A, and all of those which are funded by gasoline taxes and similar measures are seeing reductions. Most of us just need to look at our own gasoline usage over the last month to know that those revenue sources are going to decline, and that will have an effect on our ability to keep up with our street maintenance. So we'll be dealing with that as well.
I had a question from one of the attendees regarding short-term rentals. Has there Been anything changed as far as your ordinance with short-term rentals since COVID-19?
Do you want me to address that, Mayor?
Sure.
Yeah. There are emergency orders, and these, our orders essentially mirror the ones provided by the Riverside County Public Health Officer that prohibit any short-term rentals. And in the emergency orders, it's defined as anything less than 60 days during the time of the emergency declaration. And that goes for short-term rentals through June 19th. And we are enforcing that and making sure that our rentals, whether they're licensed or unlicensed, are adhering to that emergency order. The only exceptions to that are, there's a few exceptions if they're housing essential services workers or persons that are required to quarantine or things like that. On the longer term basis, Council has a task force that is studying short-term vacation rentals and the extent to which we would continue those into the future and the regulations that would be necessary to allow us to continue them in some manner. Council heard a report from the task force on March 11th, and they provided preliminary direction to the task force to work on a proposal to phase out short-term vacation rentals in non-HOA neighborhoods over time. They asked the task force to come back with more specific recommendations on that. So no definitive action, no ordinance has been passed yet relating to that, but that is the guidance that was provided to the task force by the council on March 11th.
All right, another question from an attendee. Even though deemed essential, has the large project at Date Palm and 111 ceased construction or slowed construction due to the pandemic?
From our perspective in Stone, if you have any more recent information, let us know. But I believe that the tribe continues construction on the casino, looking towards a date of completion sometime early next year. At one point, recently, they were working 3 shifts, 6 days a week, doing their usual thorough job of getting their projects completed on time and under budget. I live close to the casino, so I drive by the site pretty much every day, and I'm seeing a lot of activity there. But Stone, do you have any more recent information?
No, Mayor Aguilar, that is correct. They are continuing to move full speed ahead on the project. And in fact, I just found a website that I can forward Justin when we're off the call that the recipients can, the participants in this teleconference can take a look at. And it's got updates, almost daily updates on the photographs of the construction progress. And it's actually a really dynamic website.
Great, thank you.
Thank you. Let me see. I have another one. Do you have a PowerPoint of your presentation that you wanted us to share on our website?
Well, we did actually have just a few PowerPoint slides that we were going to run through. We've covered quite a bit of the information that were in those slides. I think I like the Q&A. It seems to be a more meaningful and more substantive point of discussion. So I'd like to continue with that. But yes, we can provide the slides. The slides do talk a bit about the casino that Stone just mentioned. The casino's 500 machines be completed early next year. We also have information in the PowerPoint about new homes that are under construction by GHA and DR Horton as well, and other information that the attendees might find useful. But I like the Q&A, and I think let's continue with that.
Okay, can you expand on any new developments that have been entitled through the city and what is being currently worked on as far as construction?
Sure. Actually, I will defer that to Stone, who's right on top of that information currently. But we have been very, very pleased that, of course, prior to the pandemic, but over the last year and a half, we've seen a renaissance, if you will, in downtown Cathedral City, and that's been promoted largely by the development of downtown as an entertainment center, with CD Rep coming in with a new amphitheater, 3,000 seat amphitheater, which is just about completed. Mary Pickford, of course. We're now seeing renewed interest in wanting to be part of that growth. So with that foundation, Stone, can you talk about some specific projects?
Yes, Mayor, thank you. So the Arts and Entertainment District, which is something that I would definitely encourage each of you to take a look at. It's really gaining significant momentum. In fact, absolutely due to the mayor's leadership and Charlotte McClendon's leadership and some of the past council's leadership, we just completed the Cathedral City Community Amphitheater. That was about a $5.1 million project. And the sound system on that should be going in within the next probably 2 weeks. And that amphitheater holds just under 3,000 people. So it's 2,950 people that it can seat, that it can, standing room. And if you don't have that many people there, you can bring in food trucks. There are, it's a playground for the kids. There's benches, there's tables. So that's just within our Downtown Arts and Entertainment District. Another project that's going on in our Downtown Arts and Entertainment District that we're very excited about is a mixed-use development on the 13.5 acres. And that 13.5 acre project is actually located immediately south of the casino. And that's going to have retail, that's going to have a hotel component, which is going to be on hold, and then it's going to have a residential component. And so that's something that I think that the city, a lot of work, 20 years in the making, and that's finally working its way through the entitlement project. So we're very grateful, we're very excited about that. As many of the real estate professionals here know, Mario Gonzalez continues to do an incredible job with his two projects, the District East, after having sold out the district, and then on the Cathedral City 25. I understand that there was a home that just closed within the Cathedral 25 or under contract for $525,000, $515,000. Similarly, I've heard values. One of the models closed at the District East. I want to say it was $760,000. So the values that are driving there are considerable. As many of the professionals on the website on this webinar know, D.R. Horton is offering a 4% broker co-op on their project up on the north side of the freeway. The sales on that consistently are going well. I want to say that they're posting about 4 sales per month per product line, which is remarkable. I mean, those are really, Robin, you can remember back in the 2005, 4, 3 years, those were the sales paces that we had back in those days.
Right.
So D.R. Horton's doing very well. Otherwise, we're working on different projects throughout the city, some pretty neat new gas station services, working on actually trying to attract a actual full-service pharmaceutical company to the city. So really the diversity of our activity from an economic development standpoint is, we're working hard.
Can I ask you, Stone, back when we had the recession in 2008, a lot of the cities were doing automatic extensions of any entitlements. If you see somebody is having trouble getting financing or whatever the issue may be, is the city prepared to do automatic extensions of entitlements?
You want me to take that one?
You betcha.
We haven't acted to put that in place yet, but that is certainly something that, should conditions warrant, that we would be open to bringing to the council. Yes.
Okay.
Hey, Robin, I would just echo Charlie's comments. The city council that we have now is very pro-business and very pro-development. So I would not see that as an impediment.
And I've heard that all along. I thank you all, gentlemen. I ask you now if you want to give any final thoughts and comments to our group. Please go ahead.
Thank you, Robin, and thank you to your members for giving us this opportunity. First of all, I am always available, Charlie and Stone are, to answer any specific questions that folks might have. If they want to ask those offline, my information is on the city's website. But we are looking to reopen at some point. We're going to be very diligent, though, in doing that to make sure we do it in a safe way, following the governor's 6 guidelines and the county's orders. We do not want to put anybody at risk when we do that. So health and safety is going to be our biggest concern. I would just ask everybody to stay safe, wash your hands a lot, wear your mask when you go out, and be safe. And thank you for having us.
Thank you. Anything to add, Charlie or Stone?
I would just like to reinforce to everyone that Cathedral City is open for business, just in a little different way. The services that you typically receive from the city can still be received. It may require a advance email or phone call and some arrangements to be made, but we will take care of your needs.
Thank you.
And Robin, thank you. If anyone has a paper and a pen out, if they want to take down my personal cell phone number, that number is area code 760-219-7227. Again, 760-219-7227. If there are, and my email address, this is always a good way to get a hold of me. That's sjames@cathedralcity.gov. Again, sjames@cathedralcity.gov. And I give you those two because if you ever have any questions, you're either trying to get a listing or you're trying to make a sale, get someone in escrow or help them close. And if you think there is something that I can provide you, whether it be background on exciting new restaurants that are coming up or new projects that we're trying to attract or anything like that, please reach out to me. Again, that's my personal cell. If you're working, I'm working. You know, I am blessed to have a great city manager and an excellent city council that is absolutely supportive of our community and is supportive of our business community. And that really is, you know, we are looking and we are actively working hard to find those new and diverse opportunities to improve not only the community from the different types of restaurants and services that we provide, but also how do we increase the traded businesses, the businesses that bring in wealth into the community. And ultimately, and what's most important for you, in my humble opinion, is how do we increase property values? And so that's my ultimate big driver, are what are the actions that I can do that will help increase property values? So thank you.
Thank you. And I must say that we've had a lot of comments in our chat link thanking you all, gentlemen, for being here today.
Our pleasure.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.